Hello, friends, and welcome back to the new episode of I Don't Work Here, Lady. And today we have 3 great stories, and the first of them. Lady demands I find her a salesperson even after I told her I didn't work there. Proceeds to scare the living hell out of me. This happened a few Saturdays ago, but I remembered it today when a much nicer lady mistook me for a sales lady this morning at the same spot. So, I own a teeny tiny plant care and supply business in a major U.S. city. I was dropping off some gardens and arrangements I make to one of my retail clients, a large upscale grocery market and food court underneath the offices of a huge big-name tech company. There's only 3 coveted commercial loading-only parking spaces on the block where I drop off. Big city, right off a main road with no parking allowed on it at all, so spots on the side roads can be very hard to get. And these boxes are mad heavy, so I usually go on Saturdays in hopes of getting one of the spots. But this particular morning, there's 3 regular non-commercial cars parked in the commercial spots. So that sucks. But I'm pretty used to it, unfortunately. People suck. Very visibly bummed, I drive down to the next block. Magically, somehow park and get ready to haul these boxes full of plants to their respective new home. I put 20 minutes in the meter, plenty of time to drop off and head down. The shop itself where I sell these gardens is in the middle of a big grocery market, so even when the shop is closed, I can still get inside the market and drop stuff off when the market itself is open. I just have to climb under the "we're closed" rope and start merching out my gardens, as I always do. So I'm doing that, and as I'm about to be finished, a lady comes up to the ropes with an expectant look on her face, looking very irritated. I immediately know she thinks I'm the sales associate and I'm neglecting her, even though I'm behind the "we're closed" rope. I apologize and, out of total instinct and too many years of prior retail work, ask her if she's needing help. Ugh. Oops. Then it begins. Lady, does anybody even work here, or do you just ignore your customers? Me. So sorry, I don't work here. I just do their plans. It was early and my vocab was definitely still waking up. Her. There's never anybody at this register. Can you find me somebody, please? No question mark to the quote because her tone was so flat that it sounded just like a statement. Me. I'm just here to drop off a delivery. I don't technically work here. Her. Cutting me off. Yeah, I heard you, but I need you to find me somebody who does. Me. Okay, well, I'm almost done here. Her. Cutting me off again. Can't you do this? Referring to me tidying up my stuff later. You're being very rude. I'm in a hurry and I need to buy these. Not exact, but along the lines of what it was. At this point, I'm very flustered because her tone is incredibly demanding, and I'd somewhat identified myself to her already. I do not want this lady complaining to any higher-ups at this market because this is where I make a majority of my money, and I can't lose them as a client. So I agree to help and say I'll head into the back area for her. Unfortunately for me, that is the exact moment that the 5-minute warning on my phone's timer for my parking meter goes off. And I'm a good minute and a half walk away from it. Cool. Great. Hooray. Ugh. I don't remember exactly what I said because I was gathering my empty boxes to take back to my van, but she was on me like a hawk. I remember trying to explain to her that I had to leave now as my meter was going to expire, but she was not responding, well, since I just told her I would help her. I'm panicking because in my city these tickets are friggin' expensive as hell, and it's the end of the quarter, so you know I'm knee-deep in taxes. I do not have any more to spare this month specifically, and I'm not trying to pay a late fee on top of $1 million ticket. After the first explanation, I get ready to very quickly break down 2 of the boxes to stack into one so they're easier to carry. I apologize and let her know I have to go to avoid a ticket, and she, to my complete horror, yells, "Seriously, uneffing real," into the air, but obviously aimed at me. I am terrified. I feel horrible at this point and gather up my unbroken down boxes in my arms, unable to see in front of me considering how quickly and badly I stacked them, and make an absolute beeline to what I was hoping was the clear aisleway. I get outside and quickly readjust my boxes so I can see better. Insult to injury, as I'm running, waddling back to my van, I notice one of the commercial spots had cleared up. Oh, so frustrating. I don't think she ended up complaining about me, but still, just a crappy experience all around. I hate how people can try to make you feel so guilty for something that has absolutely nothing to do with you. Lame. Luckily, most of the people I deal with at that market are awesome. Just a few bad apples in every bunch, I guess. But hey, no ticket. Small silver lining. I bet she was one of the 2 remaining vehicles parked in the commercial loading zone. And we're moving on to the second story. You don't work here. I used to work construction for a smallish company, and at the same time of this story, we were building 2 houses on adjacent lots. The worksite was big enough that the 12 of us could be spread out and not necessarily see each other for the entire day. And if you heard someone moving around or running tools on the floor above you, you naturally just assume it was one of the other guys. Our cars were parked out along the street, mixed together with other residents of the neighborhood. Also of note, we had built by our company signs staked out at both ends of both driveways, and the foreman and several other people had trucks with our company logo on the doors. On Fridays, the foreman would usually leave the site about 15 minutes before quitting time and go pick up some beers. We'd relax for a few minutes, drinking beer, shooting the crap, then do site cleanup and head home for the weekend. On this particular day, when quitting time rolled around and we all gathered in the garage in front of one of the houses and cracked open the beers, sadly, the last of my coworkers to show up realized there wasn't a beer left for him. Wait a minute, 2 six-packs should be enough beers for 12 guys, right? That's when we all simultaneously realized there was a 13th guy hanging out with us and drinking a beer. He was wearing work clothes and had his tool belt and bucket down with everyone else's gear. He was youngish, maybe early 20s, and kind of scraggly. He looked like a construction worker and totally looked like he belonged there, except none of us knew who he was. Foreman. Who the hell are you? Stranger. I'm Steve. We all stared questioningly at Steve. Clearly, none of us had any idea what to say. Steve. Bill sent me down here. Foreman. Who the hell is Bill? This went on for a bit, and it slowly came out that Steve and Bill didn't work for our company. No duh. He worked for some other company and had just started earlier that week. His new boss, Bill, had told him to head down to the construction site on such and such street. Well, it turns out Bill had meant the construction site on some other street, but Steve didn't know that. So he just showed up and got straight to work. Somehow he totally missed all the signs saying our company name, and somehow we totally didn't run into him all day. The funny part was when Steve asked how he was supposed to get paid for the day. To this day, I wonder if Steve actually worked for the other company or if he was unemployed and really dumb and thought he could backdoor his way into a job with our company. At least he got a free beer out of it. And our final story for today. You don't work here, sir. As the title implies, a little backwards take on IDWHL this time, memory was brought up from reading another post. So I had a good amount of experience working hardware, not just the guy who doesn't know what you're looking for, but actually fully trained in each department, manager training, and very knowledgeable in repair and part fabrication. I went from a job at a Midwest store where people save big money to a smaller chain on an island 5,000 miles away working electrical. Absolutely loved that job. Loved the people, the place, the work, all of it. I got to repair things for the store, help with the marketing, and routinely perform repairs for customers. I made tons of improvements to the store, starting with my department. This included creating stations for things like wrapping fluorescent tubes, wire rolling, repair shop, and most importantly for this story, I took down literally every single item in the entire department, took them off the shelves, rearranged them to make sense. Instead of going up and down the aisle, now the switches are in one segment, organized, and had labels and display items for each. Same for the entire department. Even the Servolite stuff, bins of tons of loose electronic components. If I didn't know everything we had before, I certainly did afterwards. Enter Sweaty Madman, SMM. He's looking for a light switch cover. It's a little round piece that screws into your switch cover and blocks it except for on one side, so people don't accidentally turn the switch on or off if you don't want them to. We don't carry them for whatever reason. I explained this to him, but he has that essence of, I know more than you, to him, and not making eye contact, looking past and around me while listening to me. He insists we have them because he used to be the manager here and knows what we have. He calls me useless, then goes around me to find it himself where he thinks they used to be. I leave him be, and about 15 minutes later he comes back angry. He insists I find it for him or call a manager. He gets more rude, and his anger increases his sweat production and smell. So I've had enough, but I have to stay polite. SMM, I know you've got them. I hate when you young punks come in and get no training and can't even help customers in their own department. Me, sir, I'm sorry if you feel that way, but I assure you we don't stock them. Maybe we did when you were here, but for whatever reason, we don't now. Maybe the demand isn't high enough as we haven't had anyone ask for them until you. SMM, Things don't change at this store. I know you have them. You're lucky I'm not managing anymore because you wouldn't be here. Me. Okay, sir. How about this? Instead of my manager, let me take you to our buyer. He's the one who picks and orders every single thing for our department, and maybe he can get some ordered for you. SMM. Sure. Whoever can put you in your place and show me where they're at. So I get the buyer and explain the situation. He comes out and tells the guy that we haven't stocked them for years and tells him to leave and try Ace or a big box store or learn to use Amazon. Turns out the store used to have every full-time employee be called some sort of manager for a while. Department manager, assistant department manager, then part-timers. It only lasted less than a year before they scrapped it. I assume because it went to people's heads like this guy. Also found out he'd been fired and was never even working in my department, just a superiority complex. It isn't a huge victory or a great story, but I still think about that idiot sometimes and shake my head. Hey guys, thanks for watching to the end, and I'll see you in the next video.